Every 4 years, the world starts speaking in a language you may not feel fluent in. Group chats become live commentary. People who never mentioned football suddenly know lineups, injuries, penalties, and which player is carrying the hopes of an entire country. At work, someone has the match open on a second screen. At home, the television is louder than usual. And without anyone officially announcing it, the air changes. You feel it in the way people walk into rooms already talking about the score. A whole country seems to lean forward at the same time. And then there is you, sitting somewhere inside all of it, not angry, not above it, not trying to ruin the mood, just quietly outside the feeling. You look at the screen, you understand that something important is happening for everyone else. You hear the breath people hold when the ball gets close to the goal, but your body does not move toward it. Nothing inside you reaches for the match. You are watching the same screen as everyone else, but not entering the same emotional world. And that can feel strangely lonely, because it is not only that you do not care about the World Cup, it is that everyone else seems to care so naturally, as if the moment knows exactly where to land in their body. And yours stays quiet. Someone asks, "Are you watching the match tonight?" You say, "Probably not." They pause, not long enough to accuse you, just long enough for you to feel the difference between you and them. Then comes the familiar question, how can you not care? It's the World Cup. And you smile because you do not want to make it awkward. But what are you supposed to say? That you tried? That you watched for a while? That you waited for the electricity everyone else seemed to feel? That you looked at the screen and hoped your body would eventually join the room, but it never did? So you learn to give small answers. I'm just not into football. I don't really follow it. I'll watch the final maybe. But underneath those simple answers is a quieter truth. You are standing outside a shared emotion, watching everyone gather around something that does not gather you. And after a while, a question starts to form somewhere deep inside. Am I cold? Am I disconnected? Why does everyone else have this place to belong? And I don't? If this already feels familiar, leave a dot in the comments. Because some people know this feeling immediately. Not the feeling of hating the World Cup. The feeling of being surrounded by excitement you cannot enter. The small guilt of realizing that while everyone else feels pulled in, your body is still standing at the door, but maybe the problem was never that you lack emotion. Maybe your emotions simply do not open for something that never felt like yours. People often misunderstand emotional distance. They see you sitting quietly while everyone else reacts, and they assume there is nothing happening inside you. They see you not cheering and think you must be judging the people who are. They hear you say you do not care about the World Cup, and suddenly, the room gives you a role you never asked for. You become the one who is too serious, the one who is quietly ruining the mood, the one people assume must be cold just because the match did not reach you, as if not joining one collective emotion means you do not have emotions at all. But that is not how feeling works. A person can be deeply emotional and still feel nothing during a match. They can notice a change in someone's voice, replay one sentence from a conversation for days, cry at a song, and still sit quietly while the whole room chants. That does not make them empty. It means their emotional system is specific. It does not activate simply because the crowd activates. For some people, collective excitement feels like belonging. The noise does not overwhelm them. It includes them. The chant does not feel like pressure. It feels like being held by the same emotion as everyone else. But for someone like you, that same room can feel very different. The volume feels too large for the amount of feeling you actually have. The cheering feels like a cue you missed. You are not only watching the match, you are also watching yourself inside the room, checking your face, checking your reaction, wondering if anyone can tell that your smile is arriving a little late. Your shoulders tighten slightly. You look at the screen, then at the people watching the screen, and somewhere in that small movement, you understand something. You were not outside the match. You were outside the meaning everyone else had placed inside it. That is the part people miss. Sometimes the hardest part is not the World Cup. It is the expectation that your body should know what to do with it. Because the moment someone says, you should care, something inside you closes. Not because you want to resist, not because you want to be different, but because real emotion cannot be summoned like a social obligation. You cannot manufacture pride because a room expects it. You cannot borrow excitement and make it feel like home. You cannot force your nervous system to attach to a story it never entered. So from the outside, it may look like indifference. But from the inside, it can feel like separation, like standing at the edge of a crowd, watching everyone else receive something you cannot reach. Not feeling what the crowd feels does not mean you feel nothing. It may mean your emotions do not perform on command. You are not cold because the World Cup does not move you. Your body may simply be honest about where it does and does not belong. To understand people who do not care about the World Cup, you first have to understand what the World Cup gives to people who do. For many fans, it is not only a match, it gives them a reason to say, if we won, we lost, we made history. Technically, they were not on the field. They were at home, leaning toward the television. They were in a bar, gripping a glass too tightly. But emotionally, the word still makes sense. When someone identifies with a team strongly enough, the boundary between them and me becomes softer. A goal does not stay on the field. It enters the room. It enters the chest. It becomes proof that something they belong to can still rise. For a few hours, the match gives them somewhere to put feelings that usually have no public place to go. Private stress becomes part of a larger story. Hope has a crowd around it. In those moments, the body is not just reacting to football, it is reacting to belonging. But without that attachment, the same scene lands differently. Everyone leans forward. You look at their faces more than the screen. Someone whispers, "Come on." Someone presses both hands against their mouth. Someone cannot sit still. And you notice all of it, but your own body stays quiet. You are not watching the penalty. You are watching what the penalty does to them. That is the difference. A tense match does not feel tense in the same way when your identity is not inside it. A missed goal does not ruin your evening. A win does not lift your sense of self, because nothing in you has been placed inside the outcome. Without attachment, suspense does not feel like suspense. It feels like a room full of people holding their breath for a story your body never entered. You may understand why others are nervous, but your body does not become nervous with them. You may recognize that the moment is important, but recognition is not the same as participation. There is no childhood memory pulling you toward the team. No family ritual returning through the screen. No private history that makes the flag feel personal. And when everyone says we, the word does not naturally belong in your mouth. So when everyone else is pulled into the match, you remain where you are, watching, observing, trying, maybe, to understand the spell, but not under it. And if this helps you understand yourself or someone you know, you can share it with them, because people who do not care about the World Cup are often treated like they are missing something human. But the need to belong may not be missing. It may just be living somewhere else. This is the part people often overlook. A person who does not care about the World Cup may still care very deeply, just not in a stadium chant. Not inside a match everyone says should matter. For some people, the place that opens them is a song they did not expect to need. For others, it is a film watched alone at 2 in the morning, when the room is quiet enough for something inside them to answer. Sometimes it is a book that describes a feeling they thought belonged only to them. Sometimes it is a small group of friends where they do not have to become louder to be included. They may feel nothing when a country scores, but they feel everything when someone understands a sentence they were afraid to say out loud. The crowd may not give them that feeling, but one honest conversation does. A flag may leave their chest quiet, while a certain voice, a certain room, or a certain memory reaches a place the match never could. And maybe you have tried to join before. You stood in the room, you smiled when everyone shouted, you lifted your eyebrows at the right moment, you even said, "Wow," but your face relaxed before anyone noticed. Your body went quiet again, and in that tiny moment, you knew. You were borrowing a feeling, not lying, not pretending to be better than anyone, just trying to step into an emotion that did not recognize you. That is why it is too simple to say they do not care. They do care. Their care just lives somewhere else. Some people feel more real in crowds when many bodies are carrying the same emotion at once. Others feel more real in smaller places. Private jokes, niche communities, music that makes the outside world disappear, and rooms where they are not expected to become louder than they are. For them, collective excitement can feel like borrowed clothing. It may fit everyone else, but on their body, it feels strange. too bright for their nervous system, too public for their attachment, too loud for the amount of truth they actually feel. Not false for everyone, just false for them. There is also something complicated about the World Cup specifically. It is not only about sport, it is about nations, flags, anthems, and the word home. For some people, that makes the emotion stronger, but for others, it makes everything more complicated. Not everyone has a simple relationship with where they come from. Some people love their country, but do not feel represented by it. Some people miss home, but also remember why they left. Some people hear the anthem and feel something tangled, pride, but not without distance, affection, but not without discomfort. Because memory does not always make home simple. So when the world says, "This is your team," something inside them hesitates. Not because they hate where they come from, but because home has never been simple enough to fit inside a flag. Their belonging is not absent. It is selective. It wants truth. It wants a place where the word "we" does not feel borrowed. You are not missing the need to belong. You may have simply stopped looking for belonging in places that never felt like home. So if you do not care about the World Cup, if you feel nothing while everyone else is shouting, if you have ever sat in a room full of excitement and wondered why your body stayed quiet, there may be nothing wrong with you. You are not emotionless. You are not detached from life. You are not too cold to belong. Your emotions may simply be loyal to places that actually feel like yours. Because not every shared emotion has to become yours. A crowd can be real for other people and still not feel like community to you. A flag can move someone else deeply and still leave your body quiet. A celebration can be beautiful without becoming your joy. And that is okay. You do not have to feel something just because everyone else does. You do not have to perform excitement to prove you are human. You do not have to borrow belonging from a place that never felt safe, real, or personal to you. There may be other places where your face changes before you can stop it. Other moments where your body leans forward without being told. Other worlds where you become fully awake. It might be a song that breaks through you before you can explain why, or a film that ends, and somehow you keep sitting there in the dark. It might be one quiet friendship where your nervous system finally stops performing, or a private obsession that makes your eyes look different when you talk about it. Something so specific that it may look meaningless to someone else, the same way the World Cup looks meaningless to you. And that is the point. Meaning is not universal. It is personal. It attaches to memory, safety, longing, and the places where the self feels recognized. So when people ask why you do not care, the honest answer may not be, "I do not care about anything." It may be, "I do not belong to this." And there is a difference. You are not emotionless. Your emotions may simply refuse to belong where you do not. And if this felt personal, leave a dot in the comments. For more videos that help you understand the hidden emotional patterns behind human behavior, consider subscribing to Cortex Psychology. Because maybe your brain is not wired wrong. Maybe it has been listening for a different signal. The song that breaks you open. The book that finds you at the right time. The person who makes silence feel safe. The small world where you do not have to pretend. And one day, when something truly yours appears, you may realize your emotions were never missing. They were waiting for a place where they could finally arrive. Click the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. And be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you for being here. At Cortex Psychology, we explore the hidden patterns behind the way you think, feel, and connect. If this video helped you understand yourself a little more, stay with us. You don't have to decode your mind alone. We'll decode it together. See you in the next one.